Shadow. Metal. Neo Metal Shadow. I have been expecting you. I hope you have recovered for our duel. Shadow cracked neck. Shadow. I am no longer playing around. Neo MS. Good. I've been looking forward in finally proving my superiority. Shadow. Keep waiting. Shadow rushes at him with blinding speed as Neo MS blocks and counters flawlessly. Even at 50%, Shadow was not matching Neo MS. Neo MS, if you think you can easily beat me, you are sadly mistaken. After our last battle, I have undergone modification. Shadow then removed his last 2 inhibitor rings as he went full power and now matched Neo MS. Neo MS. Shadow then traded blows, further shocking Neo MS as Shadow was now overpowering him. Neo MS. Interesting. When we first fought, you weren't actually using half of your true power. Shadow had the Chaos Emeralds to thank for that. Then explosions erupt on numerous ships as Team Silver, Yellow Jacket, Sonic, and Dark came to the rescue. Half of Eggman's fleet was lost, and now he has played his trump card Neo MS. Blake and Yang lands on the carrier as Shadow instantly gave them new orders.
Shadow. Yang.
Blake. Ruby is somewhere on the ship. Go and find her now. I'll handle this. Yang. You be careful now or Rubes will hate me later. Blake. Don't worry, we got it. The two rushes into the ship, bashing and smashing badniks along the way. Weiss and her team decided to run interference on the carrier, keeping any reinforcement at bay. Weiss. Nora, go nuts. Nora, Yahoo. Weiss. Hurrah. Rainier with me. The two nods as they take out more badniks and turrets. Sonic and Co joins as they now stand before Shadow. Tails, that's Knuckles, the inferior copy. Neo MS, the loathsome copy is over there. He points at Shadow.
Sonic. Ah.
That's funny metal fake. Shadow. Don't underestimate him. He's taking me on 100%. Knuckles and Tails are looking at him in shock as someone was able to match Shadow.
Sonic. Ah.
No biggie, we can still take him. It's 4v5. He gathered energy and spin dashed in a light speed attack, but Neo MS caught him with one hand as he spiked him on the floor like a volleyball. Shadow. Damn it. That idiot. Tails. Sonic. He pulls out a high-tech blaster and fired, causing an explosion, but metallic footsteps could be heard as Neo MS walks through the flames unscathed.
Tails. Boo. Boo.
Knuckles. We must combine our efforts. Neo MS. My battle is with the ultimate life form, not you. He disappeared and reappears in front of Knuckles and gave him a punch in the gut, sending him crashing to a turret. Tails. Knuckles. Neo MS appeared behind him and chopped him on the neck, knocking him out. Neo MS. Now that the distractions have been dealt with, Shadow. Time to go all out. The two vanished as Shadow attempted to use Chaos Controller performance as the world turned gray, but Neo MS didn't, showing that he was not affected by it. Shadow was forced to drop the technique or risk losing more energy. As they fight, Sonic recovers and got back up. Sonic. Did someone catch the number of that bus? He shakes his head as he dispels the disorientation and looks up to see Shadow getting spiked down towards him as he dodged the incoming meteor. Sonic. We can't take him as we are now. You thinking what I'm thinking? Shadow. Let's do it. Shadow closes his eyes and summons the Chaos Emeralds to them as they finally go beyond. The two look upon Neo MS, who glares back. Neo MS. As expected, let me offer my rebuttal. Ha-ia. As energy from the emeralds come to him as well. Sonic. How? Shadow. TCH. No matter. He charges them. Sonic and Shadow. Ugh. He sends them crashing through multiple ships. Rogue and Omega arrives to see the two supers get blasted away. Omega, warning, enemy energy levels exceed Shadow's and Sonic's. Rouge, what can we do? Omega, analysis. Error, we can do nothing. Then they hear badniks approaching. Omega, declaration, we can eliminate additional enemy forces so Shadow and Sonic can focus on the task at hand. Rouge, alright, let's do it to it. Omega, exclamation, annihilate. Back to, Ruby was breaching Eggman's bridge as he panics. Eggman, where are the guards? Stone, they have all been destroyed, sir. Eggman, you want something done right, do it, yo. He couldn't finish as Crescent Rose's barrel pressed against his nose. Ruby, you give up or what? Eggman, what are your terms for surrender? Then more badniks enter only to be taken down by Blake and Jaune. Ruby, guys. Eggman, oh great, more of them? What else could go wrong? Then the ships shake as they look out to the window to see Shadow and Sonic getting their butts kicked. Neo MS uppercut Sonic in the stomach so hard, knocking the super form out of him and then kicking him back. Shadow stood alone as Neo MS was slowly getting an advantage. Ruby got worried and left Eggman to Blake and Jaune as she rushes to Shadow's location. As the fight continues, Shadow and Neo MS were evenly matched. Neo MS admitted, I am superior. Shadow, you haven't won yet. Then a shot hits Neo MS in the head as Shadow looks to see Ruby holding Crescent Rose. Neo MS was distracted for a second until Shadow made his move and smashed a fist to the usual place his reactor core was, and the super form flickered. Knowing the invulnerability that the super form gives, Shadow timed it well. When another flicker arose, he smashed into his reactor, only to find an extra emerald. Shadow, what? He was distracted long enough to receive a backhand and he blasted Ruby away, but this time it was bad. Shadow stopped fighting as he rushes to her. She was dying.
Shadow, no 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 no.
Ruby, Shadow, Shadow, don't talk, let me. Ruby, no. Save your strength, you need. To beat him. Shadow, I have to save. Her hand touches her face. Ruby, being a hero, is to take responsibility for others. His eyes widen.
Ruby, Ilo.
Her hand falls to the ground as she draws her last breath. He cries, hugging her now cold, lifeless body. Meanwhile, the others look on in horror. Jaune raging punched Eggman right in the face, knocking him out as Blake aimed her weapon at Stone, who raised his hands up high. Knuckles and Tails woke up to see what happened. Sonic was saddened by what happened. Rouge covers her mouth as Omega was preparing all the weapons in his arsenal. Back to Neo MS, irrelevant. Love is purely illogical. You can't protect anything with it. Like me, you are also an artificial being. Your feelings for her are fake. Shadow, they were real to me. He screams, still holding Ruby in his arms. Then the world went dark as another version of him was seen, but this time it was replaced by the shining Chaos Emerald growing brighter. The servant of the seven Chaos. Chaos is power, power enriched by the heart. Shadow, the servant, is the one that unifies the chaos. His eyes grew bright as the world comes back to view. He looks down to Ruby as they were now surrounded by the Chaos Emeralds. But meanwhile, on Angel Island, the Master Emerald was also shining. Shadow, our thoughts become reality. He kisses Ruby on the lips as they were engulfed in a bright light as the emeralds shine brighter than the sun. When the light subsided, Shadow was standing alongside Ruby, who was now Ruby, what is this? Shadow, hyperform, a power beyond the super form. Neo MS was visibly shaken. Shadow, shall we? Ruby, oh yeah, let's. The two gathered spun and gathered energy and went light speed on Neo MS as he couldn't process this newfound speed. It was looking like a pinball game as the two sent the machine flying through the air. Shadow and Ruby gave him a team combo, calling it Vermilion. After a beating at the speed of light, they smashed Neo MS into the carrier's deck. Eggman, I think we overstayed our welcome. He pressed a button where he and Stone was dropped into an escape route. Young and Blake couldn't stop them, but they made their way to Shadow and Ruby. Everyone gathered to the couple as they still were shining. Knuckles, this is unheard of. Tails, man, they are radiating so much chaos energy. He was scanning them with his instruments that broke when it couldn't calculate it. Rouge, wow, talk about a matching pair. She winked at Ruby, wishing her luck for their future relationship. Sonic, man, white suits you. Shadow,
Yang, Ruby.
She hugs her. Ruby returns it. Blake, man, you guys are bright. Shadow, unlike your outlook? Blake smiles. Blake, point taken, smartass. Then Neo MS was pulled out from beneath them as Eggman was seen in his typical Eggmobile. Eggman, you think you're all that, but you're not. They make a getaway as Shadow and Ruby tried to get to him, but Eggman ordered his fleet to cover him. The teams began cleanup, destroying the all remaining ships, saving Vale. Ozpin and his people look up as he smiled at the hope of Remnant being born. Ozpin, I'm proud of you, Shadow. You truly are the hope of Remnant. As he sees him shimmering white along with Ruby beside him, Glinda felt pride seeing her adopted son become a hero. The people around them began cheering at the heroes. The teams all stand on top of N's main ship as they make a triumphant return home. Everyone was celebrating with Knuckles getting ice cream with sprinkles while being teased by Rouge. Tails and Omega were talking about all the tech they saw. Weiss was sharing a team hug as Nora carried all of them to Kira, and Rin just sighs at Nora's behavior. Blake and Yang sat tired from all the fighting as they talk about what kind of teasing they should put Ruby and Shadow through. Then we see Shadow and Ruby still in hyper form. Shadow, I guess they're talking about us. Ruby, why don't we go somewhere more private? She took his hand as they flew to the sky. Suddenly explosions went up as fireworks from Vale started going as a mark of the end of the festival. Ruby, it's even prettier up close. Shadow, I could think of something more beautiful. Ruby, did you say? Shadow caught Ruby in a kiss as the two just hovered among the fireworks as they share this moment lovingly. The ultimate life form, now named Remnant's Protector, is born. For as long as evil exists, the ultimate life form will stand against it.